विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ओम शांति शांति शांतिः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम। In the new section of this Mundaka starts, there is a slight difference between each section. Though the whole Upanishad is nothing but Brahma Vidya, it reveals the self-knowledge only, but then there is a slight development of the topic. The first part of the first Mundaka is a short answer to the question. Kasminnu vignate sarvamidam vignatam bhavati. What is it that knowing which everything as well becomes known? One thing. There the teacher introduced two vidyas rather than simply answering that knowing Brahman you get everything is known. He introduced two vidyas, dve vidye veditavye, parachaiva paracha, and enumerated, just give a list. What is apara, tatra apara, etc. Rugvedo, Yajurveda, etc. Then what is para? It was told in nutshell. Just 2-3 mantras. Yattadadresham agrayam achakshusrotram avarnam yathornanabhi. Then over. Very short section. This is a style of many teachers, or it's a traditional, or you can say convention. The answer is given, but first in a brief, in nutshell. Outlines are given very at the onset of the reply. Then elaborately the whole reply is given. Like even in Bhagavad Gita. The first 20 verses of Sri Bhagavan Uvacha in the second chapter, starting from verse number 11 to 29, is an answer to Arjuna's question. Yat shreyasyat nishchitam bruhitan. Please tell me, how do I get shreyas? It's over. But in nutshell, unless one is ready, as they call it, uttamadhikari, and unless one is clear about those terminologies and Shastra, few things about Shastra, one cannot understand in brief, but get an outline, sketch. Then he elaborated the whole thing. So also the first part of the first Mundaka gave answer in nutshell, and now elaboration starts. Though it was made clear that this knowledge of Param Brahma, that Akshara Brahma, and that Akshara Brahma was revealed from both ways, Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana. With reference to Jagat and as independent of Jagat. Yattadadresham agrayam, etc. is a Swarupa Lakshana. And Yathornanabhi is a Tatastha Lakshana. It was revealed. Answer is given. But that is where the Karuna, the compassion of the Rishis. What? The knowledge was revealed, but like any other discipline of knowledge, here also one should be ready to receive the knowledge, ready to receive the teaching. I have told earlier also, time and again, technically as they call it, this is drashta phalam. Knowledge, Brahma Vidya is sadhanam and moksha is sadhyam. The relationship between this knowledge and the end, moksha, is sadhana sadhya sambandha. Knowledge is a means, moksha is an end. What connection? Is there any vyavadhana? Is there something intermediate after knowledge to gain moksha? Intermediacy in terms of time, in terms of some efforts, in terms of some movement, something intermediate to reach there. No. It is immediate. Moment the knowledge takes place, moment you are mukta. That is true for phalam. When knowledge is a sadhana for a given phalam, you get the phalam there and then. How? Like even, suppose somebody is frightened. Hey, this is snake. There is a fear. Fellow wants to get rid of fear, wants to be free from bhayam. Moment the flashlight is thrown on that object, and so clearly it is recognized, it is rope, very moment the stress and anxiety and fear will go. When knowledge is sadhanam for a given sadhya, sadhya is attained there and then. Freedom from fear. Here also, moment the knowledge takes place, aham brahmasmi. Or if I use these famous verses, mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jivve. Moment you recognize this chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham, you are free there and then. We are not talking about something to be achieved hereafter. Having gone to some loka, having been there in the vicinity of somebody, you get that, or you will get something hereafter. We are not talking that. We are not promising the happiness hereafter. I am talking, Vedanta is talking of happiness right now and here. As you are, where you are, and whatever you are. Even a greatest sinner, Bhagavan says, Abhichedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyah papakruttama sarvam gnana plavenaiva vrujinam samtarishyati shigram. If I use our known word, samsara sagara, and this samsara sagara is to be crossed. No. You recognize the fact that samsara sagara is a mirage water sagar. You recognize that there is no sagara. Where is the question of crossing? I have already crossed. Understand? When I am saying Atma is Ananda, there is no promise of happiness hereafter by going to some heaven and having eternal dinner with the Bhagavan, God, Lord, or going to heaven and having some hurrays. I have a question, what will happen to hurrays here? When they go to heaven, they will get hurrahs or not? That's another question. They are talking this. We are saying right now and here that freedom from unhappiness and owning up the total happiness, limitless happiness, unconditioned by time, space, and objectivity is you, that Paramam Sukham. Knowledge is therefore called Drashta Phalam. When person is not ready, not qualified for the knowledge, words, and if the person is blessed with little sharp or subtle intellect, that generally has because of the modern exposure, modern lifestyle, and so much of input of information and exposure is there, one gets some sharpness in intellectual. So one can see that words, can understand the words, but those words don't seem to make a sense to me. And that is why the question comes, Swamiji, I know Atma is Ananda, but the typical South Indian, but that but is there. And this is another problem. Sometimes I feel I really have, this is, what should I say? I don't know. That virtue has become a cause for more further unhappiness. What's a virtue? Some people are so sincere, so committed, and so well-meaning. Swamiji, I want to get there. I want to own up this, but I cannot. My mind runs away. They are so introspective that this is a different kind of but, okay? Swamiji, I know Atma is Ananda, but that is one but. And when these guys tell, I have studied from you and I see this, but and I'm so introspective that I see that I cannot own up, therefore I am useless. This is another but problem. Sincere people start condemning themselves, start blaming themselves, and think that I must do this, I must do, I must not, and must comes in. It's okay. I always tell, love yourself. Okay? Fall in love first with yourself, then think of somebody later. If you discover with yourself, then think of somebody. Otherwise, hold on. all these this Valentine Day words, I am incomplete without you. I love you, will you love me, etc. All this is useless. First statement is, I am incomplete without loving myself. It's okay. It's a very slow process. It takes janmas. We are gifted to have a gurus. We are gifted to have a tradition, teaching tradition, which makes so much of sense. But to own up this is not that simple. Don't condemn yourself. Don't think that I have to work more and I have to do this and I want to stop the classes and I want to just sit and meditate and own it up. It is like opening of a flower. It takes time. You can push your finger and open the bud, but it will not have the fragrance. It will not have the beauty. You have to allow the whole night. You may see that thing in the evening, but you have to allow the night to pass by. It takes time. Take it easy. Point is only that. You're sincere, all right, but take it easy and accept it. This is how the things will take place. Anyway, coming back to the topic, when those words doesn't make sense to me as a person, words make sense. That Atma is Satchidananda, I understood. But not I am Satchidananda. That is lack of preparedness of mind. And that is where people get confused by saying that Vedanta gives indirect knowledge. You have to meditate and realize. You have to make it direct, etc., etc. This is lack of parampara. lack of proper teacher, lack of clarity. So, teacher has karuna, compassion. That it is a very rarest of the rare thing to be adhikari for this knowledge. As Puja Swami used to say, somebody complained about somebody and they used to say, I've heard him 2-3 times, it's okay, he is growing, she is growing. That some limitations, some unconscious blocks are there. They are changing. And when the block is out, the knowledge is understood, it has made sense to them, it will make a sense to I as a person. So to prepare us and to clarify the need for aparavidya. Earlier there was a question. When the student has asked, what is it knowing which? Everything becomes known. Kasminu vignate. And that means what is a vidya for moksha? The teacher should have said the paravidya is a vidya for moksha and this is paravidya. But teacher started with two vidya, de vidya veditavye. So why we should study apara first? Why there is an order apara and then para? That all things were explained in the next section, the first Mundaka part 2. You have to see the limitations of aparavidya and you have to see the advantages or need for aparavidya. Aparavidya prepares you for moksha. If performed, actions are performed, or life is lived in the awareness of Ishvara. Twofold awareness. Awareness of Ishvara as karma daksha. Wherever I am placed and whatever I am expected to, it is a will of the God. And whatever I do is also is an offering unto God. What I have to do, what I can do is a will of the God. And what I cannot do is also Ishvara. Accept that. That is awareness. I'll be performing, I don't own up. Means there is no ego in that. And while I cannot do, there is hurt and the guilt because of life being gray, not black and white, cross currents flowing in an office or in a society or in nation. If you are doing the public work in a public figure, there are cross currents. You cannot do certain things, even if you are on the right side, it is proper, you wish to do. Bhagavan has given you opportunity, you cannot do. That's okay. That is awareness. Accepting pleasant and unpleasant. Accepting what my success and failures. Accepting my capacity to do and capacity to not to do. That is awareness of Ishvara. Bringing in Ishvara in all the situations. When that is lived, then one becomes ready for paravidya. And the readiness for paravidya was expressed in the 13th mantra of the previous section, second part of the first Mundaka. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayat nasti akritakratena. I am ready. Readiness is not enough. That means vairagya is not enough. Maturity is not enough. You have to gain the knowledge. And what to do for gaining the knowledge? There are two things are required. Certain cognitive change, cognitive maturity in terms of being objective. Vairagya, what I call it, objectivity. I am objective cognitively. Looking, I have explained to you in detail earlier. Vairagya is knowledge primarily, understanding, not an action. So I have vairagya, and then it calls for certain emotional attitudes and surrender. That is called Tadvignanartham Gurumeva Vigachet Samitpanihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. We have discussed this in detail, the need for a teacher. need for a Brahmanishta teacher, need for a Shrotriya teacher, and need for attitude on your part. Who wants to study? What is the attitude? Samit Panihi, offering a samit. So that's an attitude of surrender, attitude of Shraddha. And that what the surrender means, what Shraddha means, that also I have explained. So Aparavidya prepares the person for this knowledge, and he or she goes, approaches a teacher, and then teacher teaches us. Tad Vigdvan Upasannaya Samyak Prashanta Chittaya Shamanvitaya, etc. Last verse mantra we saw. Now teacher is revealing Paravidya for the purpose for which all this was taught earlier. Now teacher is revealing that knowledge. Yasmin vignate sarvamidam vignatam bhavati. Having known which, everything as well becomes. Having known which, there is nothing else to be known. Having known which, I can add this, there is nothing else to be gained. Yasmin prapte sarvamidam praptam bhavati. Vijnanam is praptihi, because what you want to know is already with you. Praptasya praptihi. Therefore, you want to know the self, and that self is with you, and the self is purnaha. Self is limitless. Therefore, having known that, having gained the self, knowing means gaining the self, and having gained the self, there is nothing else to gain anymore. Naiva tasya krutenartha na akrutena kasya. There is nothing to be not to gain also. There is nothing that you lose. There is no hurt and guilt. So that vidya is taught here. Okay. Earlier section, if I use the Shastric word in the earlier section, in second part of the first Mundaka, Karmakanda was discussed in nutshell. Karmakanda itself in Veda is very voluminous. But in nutshell, its limitations were told, and how one should perform Aparavidya, with what attitude, as I said, awareness of Ishvara. And what is a phalam is Vairagyam is phalam. Okay? By the way, this thing you can look at it from other angle, other perspective also. We are talking about Chaturvida Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. What is the phalam of Dharma? Purushartha, Kartavya Karma. Dharma phalam is Vairagya. That is the foundation for Moksha. Foundation for Shastra. So, Dharma is primarily meant for moksha. Dharma, though our tradition, in our culture, it's an independent purushartha. Dharma is, though sometimes people use it as subservient to Artha Kama. Dharma is often used for a means. Dharma is not a means for Artha Kama. It can be, but it is not the means. Dharma is an independent Purushartha, but that Purushartha is not an end in itself. Dharma is a means for moksha. The dharmic person will earn the grace, will earn emotional and cognitive maturity, and the grace will manifest in terms of getting a right teacher, a desire for moksha. There is an urge to get moksha. That itself is a blessing that one has a desire for moksha. Because who am I is $1 billion question. That I should study Shastra is $1 billion question, which doesn't occur. This fellow will have the question, and the grace will manifest in terms of getting a right teacher and ultimately the right attitude towards teacher and Shastra. Shraddhavan labhate jnana. There are two sentences, listen this. Acharyavan purusho veda. There is the Upanishad Vakya. One who has Acharya, the person knows the self. And another one says, Shraddhavan labhate jnana. One who has a Shraddha, one gains the knowledge. It's grace to get a teacher. And it is extra grace. I would add here one more point. To see Guru as Guru. You may come across right Guru, but to see him as a Guru is a grace. First step of Shraddha. Like even so many people have come across, I know many of them have become closer across Puja Swamiji. Even while he was in US, he was so busy throughout the day. People coming and meeting and talking and then going and all kinds of things. Sometimes he had to run for the class. It happened in India also. But then, quite often, they came with their samsaric problems and solutions to Swamiji. And I don't know. I've never, except a couple of people. One of them is our dean. Nobody went to him, sir. Swamiji, what is this moksha and what is Gita? And I want to know. It is like that. Swamiji's good old happening. He used to narrate often. Some of you might have heard this. Then one fellow came and said, Swamiji, I am not getting along with my wife well. And what's the problem? Then he said, I think we don't get along well and we don't match and she doesn't understand me and she doesn't listen to me and she is very abrasive sometimes and very aggressive, blah, blah, blah. So I said, what are you doing? He said, I am marriage consultant. He says, marriage consultant. And Swamiji told him, he said, just listen to her first thing. Give her time and listen to her and charge her fees. So you will listen carefully. That is that must be one of her complaints, that you don't have time to listen. Because unless you listen the person and that too objectively, you cannot relate to that person properly, The fellow never had a time to listen and he'll listen with a judgmental attitude. She's like that and she's like that. Never thought of objectively that she can be right. I am right. I am telling you. And that was the problem. Even though you are right, sometimes you are right. But then practical things are different. You have to accept those practical limitations. But the fellow, Swamiji said that you charge her and listen to her. And listen to her because he said, why should I charge? When you charge her, you will be listening attentively. And my only advice is listen to her objectively. And Swamiji used to say, after 6 months, he came and said, Swami, we are getting along well. I see my mistakes. That is the point. So I had Swamiji told him that you should see your limitations and mistakes. No, I am right. She's wrong. Would have started that way. So coming back to this, so many people coming to Swamiji. It's good. Tvameva mata cha pita tvam. It's better. Nothing wrong in talking personal things and seeking those solutions. But ultimately, I want this. How many attended? Millions you knew. But thousands attended his Gnani Yajna. And hundreds attended his Shibir's camps. And in 2 digits or 3 in 2 digits attended the course, burning all the boards and coming to him. This is what I want. So it is always there. To see him as a guru is a grace. And to have a proper attitude for a guru, that is manifestation of grace earned by a person through the life of dharma. In this janma or many past births. Shastra says, Asmin janmani janma aneka janmantareva. Upanishad Bhashya Shankaracharya ji writes, Janmantare krutena sukrutena. Because of that, he gets this teacher and Shraddha. So, that Vairagya and Shraddha is necessary. And now, Parabrahma Vidya is discussed here. Okay. Here also, the Brahman is talked about or taught in terms of Tatastha Lakshana, with reference to the world, creation. The Brahman is revealed, and let's see the first mantra. Okay. Tadetat satyam, tadetat satyam, yatha sudiptat pavakat vispulingaha, yatha sudiptat pavakat vispulingaha, sahasrashah prabhavante sarupaha, सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते स्वरूपाः यथाक्षरात् विविधा सौम्य भावाः तथाक्षरात् विविधा सौम्य भावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापियन्ति प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापियन्ति Tadetat satyam, whole line, 2 lines together. Yatha sudiptat pavakat vispulingaha sahasrashah prabhavante sarupaha. Yatha sudiptat pavakat vispulingaha sahasrashah prabhavante sarupaha. तथाक्षराद् विविधा सौम्य भावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापियन्ते तथाक्षरात् विविधा सौम्य भावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापियन्ते. Whole mantra. Tadetat satyam यथा सुदीप्तात् पावकात् विस्फुलिंगाः सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते स्वरूपाः तथाक्षरात् विविधाः सौम्य भावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापियन्ति तदेतत् सत्यम्. Last time. तदेतत् सत्यम् यथा सुदीप्तात् पावकात् विस्फुलिंगाः सहस्रशः प्रभवन्ते स्वरूपाः तथाक्षरात् विविधाः सौम्य भावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापियन्ति तथा. Okay, look at this mantra. Tadetat satyam, that, this, tat means that, etat means this, that this is satyam. That means that vastu which was stocked as aksharam And this means that this that is going to be revealed now is Satyam. Okay? Is imperishable, is an absolute truth. Now what? Then further. Yatha sudiptat pavakat vispulinga. Okay? Sudiptat pavakat yatha sahasrashaha sarupaha vispulingaha prabhavante. That is a prose order, Sanskrit. Listen, Indians would understand if to apply your mind, because all languages have come from Sanskrit. So some of these words are available in vernacular also. Yatha subdiptat pavakat sahasrashaha sarufaha vispulingaha prabhavante. Yatha, just as. Sudiptat pavaka. Pavakaha means fire. Sudiptat. Dipti means light. Sudiptat, well lighted, in well lit fire. And this is Panchami, from Sudiptat, Ramat, Gramat. Just as, Yatha means just as, from the well lit fire, what? Vispulingaha prabhavante. Okay? When the Vispulingaha means sparks, from the well-lighted fire, the spark prabhavante come out. Okay? There are two words, adjective for the spark. In our one is adverbial, adverb. Sahasrashaha prabhavante. And what are the sparks? So the vispulingaha sarupaha vispulinga. Okay. So from the well-lit fire, the sparks come out. How the sparks come out? Innumerable, sahasrashaha. Not thousands. In thousands ways, in thousand size, thousand directions, thousand size, everything. Means it just from well-lit fire, innumerable sparks come out. What kind of sparks? Sarupaha vispulingaha. Rupaha means nature. Sarupaha, of the same nature. So the whole translation would be, just as from the well-lit fire, innumerable sparks having similar nature to the fire come out, they just come out of the fire. Tatha, in the same way, there is a word, He Saumya. Oh, pleased, pleasing one. Saumya means beloved. Saumya means one who pleases you. That's the address by a teacher to the student. Student, for any given teacher, the student is like a son. So, and the teacher is like a father. So he says, oh, Tat Saumya. Saumya also means son, sometimes in a context. Here means very pleasant when I am happy with you. So it is necessary. Prasannam tamanuprapya pruched gnatavyam. Some of you might be studying Gujarati class from Tanyananji. There is a verse in Vivek Chudamani. One has to gain the prasannata of a Guru. When Guru is pleased, then you ask the question and get the teaching. So here also, so the teacher indicates, I am pleased with you. For what? The attitude that you have, the mindset that you have, the maturity that you have. Not for dakshina, okay? You gave me a big check, so I am pleased with you. It is not that Guru talking. It is Arsha Guru who is pleased with your commitment to study, your heart to do seva, your heart to have Shuddha. That Guru is talking. The so pleasing one. So Saumya means a pleasing one. What? Tatha aksharat vividaha bhavaha pravjayante. Tatha vividaha bhavaha aksharat prajayante. Tatha, in the same way, similarly, bhavaha means beings. That which is, it doesn't say conscious beings. Okay? That which is bhava. Bhu, the word, the verb, not the word, the bhu verb. Bhu bhavati means to be and to become also. So all the beings, that which is, tatha vividaha bhava, varieties of isness. Aksharat, from akshara, viprajayante, they are being born from that aksharam Brahma. Aksharam word is used for Brahman, that we have seen in the first part of the first Mundaka. So from that akshara, vividaha, varieties of beings are born, and tatra chaiva api yanti. Tatra chaiva, and there and all, to that Brahman alone, api yanti, they go back. So, varieties of beings are born from the Brahman and they go back to Brahman. Means they come out from the Brahman and they go back to Brahman. Okay? So the whole meaning of the mantra is, just as from a well-lit fire, innumerable sparks of a similar nature come out, so also from that Aksharam Brahma, varieties of beings are born and they go back to that Brahman. Okay. We have to, this is where you need tradition. This is where you need a guru who can communicate, who knows the meaning of the words. Tatra chaiva apiyanti. They go back. This is figurative. This is where you have to see the implied meaning. It is not going back to some Vaikunt Loka and Saket Loka and then Kailas Loka and then merging with the Lord. And they went back to Bhagavan. They were separated from Bhagavan and they merged. Listen, the sentence clearly. Just be careful. This is, again, I tell you, this is where you need a teacher and this is where you need a subtle thinking, not glossing over. Whatever being, okay, is from Brahman. In case of fire, any example, whenever it is given, one should know the limitations of that example. The example doesn't or never ever completely is applicable to something for which it is given. No example is completely applicable to what for it is given. And one should know the intention, the purpose of a given example as well. In Sanskrit, we say there is no samyam, purna samyam, complete similarity between drashtanta, the example, and darshtanta, the vastu for which example is given. There will be dissimilarity. Only one aspect of the example is applicable to or is similar to the vastu for which example is. Not completely like that. Okay? In any story, you should know the message of example. People get away by giving examples That too non-contextual examples, and that by example is only a partial, but they apply as a whole. Like so many people have this. They get away by telling stories, and therefore this is Siddham. They get away by giving examples, therefore this is Siddham. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, some other time I'll enumerate. Like our rishis were married, therefore you should get married. What is this example? What connection with rishi even you have? The first of all, that example is not applicable to this Jethalal, Champaklal's son, father of Tapuda, Ulta Chasma. This fellow is not applicable. He's a joker. And you say, therefore you get married. If this fellow is a rishi and living a life of a rishi, then you can say rishis were married and therefore you should get married. But you cannot equate this idiot with rishis. Narendra Modi is doing this, therefore you should do that. And who are you? I'm just chaiwala. You cannot do that. That chaiwala, he's a tea maker, is not big thing, This fellow put a big board out of his shop and secret, great secret to become national leader. In one shot, we'll teach you. Just half an hour training. You will become national leader in time. You will lead the nation in time. All these politicians thought of registering, and they said it's a secret. You have to take an oath. When I show you the mean, because like register, like this mantra, $500 mantra, they give mantra is a secret mantra, because if it is not secret, $500, taking $5 is a trade secret, marketing secret. Don't give it anybody, and you have to take an oath. Mantra is there in Shastra available anyway. So this is a secret, and you have to take an oath, and we charge something, and fellow charge 5,000 rupees, just one lesson. One lesson is enough. You can become national leader. One fellow paid 5,000, took the oath, and was moodless, very moodless, very moodless. And then his friends and all said, tell us what is it? It's a secret. I cannot tell. I am on oath. They said, come on. No, I am on oath. Then they said, okay, here are 5,000 rupees. I'm giving it to you. I don't want to go there and learn. You give them. But tell me, what is it? This fellow said, they took me inside and taught me how to make tea, because tea maker became the prime minister. Chaiwala. Modi's father had a tea stall. So he became a prime minister. So that's a secret. First lesson to become the national leader. Let's get back to this example. You cannot give this example that Chaiwala became prime minister, so you can become prime minister. One should know the limitations of a given example and the point that is conveyed by a given example. That I think we will discuss it tomorrow. Here, there is just one point is very clear, that it talks about sparks coming out of fire. And if we have to merge there, in case of fire and the spark, there is a spatial division. In between spaces there. Sparks are at a depth that travels in space. And they go and they fall in a space at a point P1 or P2, where there may or may not be fire. Some of the spark come out the fire and get back to fire, but some of them get outside. Look at the second line. Bhava. Anything that I said beings or varieties of beings. Being means anything that is. Come out from same. Now, If Bhagavan is somewhere in Vaikuntha Loka, Kailas Loka, Goloka, etc., and if I have to travel there in space, and after death, that means in becoming also, after death in an Indian tradition, the body is burnt. So there is nothing left for me to take over there. So I have to get new body, and then I have to travel in space to some loka. The very space is not separate from Aksharam Brahma. Understand? The loka is, whatever loka, Vaikuntha Loka, Saket Loka, Goloka, it is not separate from Aksharam Brahma. You are is being. Bhava. I am not separate from. Nothing is separate. No existence. That means it is the Swarupa of Aksharam. That what is Brahman. And if it is Brahman, where is the question of going to Brahman when I am is? Look at this. And I am is. I exist. Existence is Brahman. Where is the question of merging with Brahman? You are already Brahman. The problem is of ignorance. You have to know yourself as Satyam Gnanam Ananta. Tatraiva apiyanti. When they come from there and go back to there as well. Understand? Not as well. Go back there alone. There cannot go anywhere else. That means coming out and going back is apparent. We'll explain this further in tomorrow's class. Okay. Namaste. Tomorrow I might be late by 5-10 minutes. So you better log in by time. I am with some meetings, some people are coming. So if it runs over my scheduled time, and then I have to take dinner and all that. So might get late. I don't know. I'm starting it by 5:30. So it should be over. We have scheduled it to get over by 7. Okay. Keeping in mind the class. But have patience tomorrow. Anyway, my life being what it is, I am often late and you have enough patience. So let us extend the patience tomorrow. That's what I'm expecting from you. Okay. Namaste. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.